How are you?
I'm good. Oh, you already changed your name to say Wale. Oh, so I should say, hey, Wale.
Hello, Isel.
Awesome. All right. So, y'all, welcome back. I see there's like a few viewers now. So I'll just say, hey, feel free to like type in the chat, like where you're tuning in from, anything that you got going on today. Really interested in you. Really quickly, before we do like who's today's guest is, which I'm super excited about, I do want to like just give y'all a little bit of a breakdown of what some topics are or what some definitions are. I remember last stream a lot of people were like, I don't know what these words are. What are we talking about? So I'm just gonna quickly share my screen so you all can just get like a brief intro, brief glossary of what everything is. Let me do present. Hey Angie, let's do this. All right, so just so people are like, hey, we don't know what decentralized identifiers are or decentralized web nodes. Really quickly, Web 5 is basically an ecosystem. This is how I would describe it, an ecosystem to build applications that prioritize data ownership and user privacy. If you hear us say the word decentralized identifiers, basically every person in the Web 5 ecosystems has one. It's a W3C open standard. They're based on cryptographic principles, and basically they give you access to something called a decentralized web node. And they're also represented as an alphanumeric string, so they'll often start with like DID, the method that you're using, and then like an identifier, so it might just like have letters and numbers in it. And then decentralized web nodes are basically like a personal data store. You can think of it similar to Dropbox, but like unlike products like Dropbox, where like terms of service may change or your access to data or whatever. In with decentralized web nodes, you have like control of who gets access to your data. So that's all. And if people have like more questions as we go on, feel free to put in the chat like, hey, I don't understand this, and we'll stop and explain. But enough talking from me. I wanted to introduce our guest today is Zeta. Hey Zeta, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Not too
I'm
shabby.
good. Would you say you said
Nice.
not too shabby, Ace?
Yeah.
I'm really excited to have you on, Zeta, because I like Angie was like recommending you. Like she talked really well about you, and I watched the video that you did on decentralized identifiers. So I'm excited to learn from you. I was curious. Could you feel free to, or could you please just introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi all, I'm Zeta. I've been working as a data scientist for the past, 4.5 years. I joined Danube Tech. We're based in Vienna, Austria, about 2 years ago. I've also worked in the healthcare sector and in a corporate, and now I'm also on an entrepreneur journey from this talent investor program, Entrepreneur First. I'm currently based in Paris, but I'm from the Netherlands originally.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same
you
as
do
you.
a lot. I have a lot of questions because I looked at your LinkedIn. I like you're a data scientist, you're a founder, you're a machine learning engineer. Um, how do all of those things work together for you, or like how did you get to be all of those? That's a lot of like roles.
Yeah,
Those.
Before
yeah.
you
So,
answer real quick, you also mentioned that you worked in hospitality for like 5 years. So it's like,
oh, that was when I was, I mean, as a student, right, to get like a bit of
oh.
extra money in. So that I did. I'm currently not, but I think that's actually a place where you learn a lot of things, especially working hard because you have to focus on 20 things at the same time, and
Mhm.
customers king. So that's learned that the hard way, so to say. But yeah, right after hospitality, I did like work I got educated for. And I think it started with work as a data scientist. I I realized when I did my first job that looking at all these data sets and looking at data is just it can be used in very many malicious ways, and I was a bit concerned. So this new identity, digital identity space, I mean, it's not too, it's relatively new, got me hooked because it's all about, right, privacy enhancement and increasing safety. So that's why I switched from doing this like vanilla data science work to more other work, like trying to protect the user and giving back ownership. And I don't know, I really love the space. It's also a bunch of just nerds, I would say, that have a dream to make the internet a better place. So I can really align with that. However, I have a master's degree in computational sciences, so my heart is also a bit at mathematics and applied mathematics, and how can we apply mathematics to computers. So especially now also with the AI trend that's going on, I didn't want to miss out on the newest techniques, and why I started as a freelancer on the side. So like machine learning engineer, that's where that came into place. And while doing that alone, next to a like full-time 40-hour job, I just thought of, okay, what is the best thing I can do? I'm alone, I'm young, I know that. Even though I have some experience, I do not have 20 years of experience. So what is the best thing I can do? I can either dive into the latest tech. I can either go to conferences and like increase my network, or I can just do projects for the sake of doing projects and get money in. But all of that did not really appeal to me. So I was more on the quest of finding a co-founder. And that's how I came across this Talent Investor program, because it was all about finding your co-founder. So that's how I ended up in Paris, still working for Danube Tech, and doing machine learning engineering on the side.
I love to see it.
That is such an exciting journey.
Yeah.
It goes all the way, all different directions.
No, I mean, I love to see people make sure that they're like tapping into all their skills and stuff like that. So I think this is exciting. I'm excited to see like whatever you end up building as a founder. And I think it was smart for you to like do machine learning as freelancing on the side, because you know the AI boom. I think you kind of like touched on like getting into data, being a data scientist within like the decentralized identity realm.
Yeah.
Can you like tell me a little bit more about like what attracted you to like the decentralized web? And then I never even considered, since I'm new to the decentralized web, I never even considered the fact that there's data scientists doing work.
Yeah. I have to say also, it feels like really as if I'm a bit of the odd one out, because it's mostly software engineers, especially when I go to all these the tech conferences. It's always either like policymakers or software engineers, or right, more that side of the tech. So the data scientists or data analytics people are quite like in a minority there. But what attracted me really was this bringing back ownership. And there's a lot of discussions I had with people that do fraud or create fraud detector systems. And I actually believe that it's trying to solve a problem which is already there, and it's not really taking the root cause of the problem. Whereas I feel that decentralized identity will help with that, right? Is a completely new technology. The problem I do feel there is that you have to convince tech that like to change or to integrate decentralized technologies into their current solutions. But I feel like this is actually taking or attacking the problem, or taking the problem at the root cause. So that's what I found super interesting. It's a complete new view on how can we make systems better and more secure and more safe, and increase and enhance privacy. And what I'm doing as a data scientist, it actually comes back, or it boils down to more the data analytics. So we at Danube Tech, we are all about decentralized identifiers, as you explained in the beginning, and we basically look at data, or basically decentralized identifiers from different ledgers. So it's all public. Everyone essentially can take the data, fetch the data, and put it into some Excel sheet and analyze it. But since we have the data, this was what we did. And I came as a data scientist. So as I was saying, like a black sheep of the family. And Marcus Sabadello, the founder of Danube Tech, was, I think he saw like a gap, because no one has ever analyzed and published the data of decentralized identifiers. So that's what we did. And that's how me as a data scientist, how I came into place and came into this field. So
Yeah, that is actually very exciting because the first
Yeah.
time you mentioned that you were doing data analysis, I was quite curious, and I wanted to
Hmm.
ask because I'm not sure if it applies, but like for example, with the decentralized web, we have like decentralized web nodes, and of course, like
Yeah.
you mentioned specifically decentralized identifiers. I was
Hmm.
curious as to maybe like more practical angles, like maybe it could be like a day-to-day stuff, but how does like your data analysis apply to DWNs if you ever work with them? Or how does it like
Hmm.
is it like just you doing analytics majorly on like the identifiers specifically? Just to have a better understanding of
Yeah.
that kind of
Well,
process.
yeah. So now the analytics is, I mean, there's also debate here because ideally we want to have the centralized systems to not be able, like, not give the
Yeah.
big control to the tech or like the, I don't know, like whatever company there is like in charge of it. So the whole reason for decentralization is also not to make this analysis possible. So there might be a bit of a
Mhm.
right two side of the coin. But what you can analyze, and it's not privacy sensitive data, right? So what you can analyze is maybe like what kind of endpoints are used or what are like everything that's in a DID document. So if you have a DID which is tied to a DID document, then the service endpoint can be is written down in that DID document, and that the document and the DID itself that's stored in our database, and that's something we could analyze. So we could see is updates going on these DID documents, or are people changing endpoints quite often? If they do, where, when, how? So it's rather
I
I'd
see.
say, yeah, it's rather I'd say behavior rather than really privacy sensitive data.
Mhm.
I mean, this is, yeah, it should also be within the blockchains and within the ledgers that people do not put privacy sensitive data on ledgers and blockchains in the first place. So that's also maybe a tool in which AI can come into place. Like, hey, can we search a blockchain and a ledger and make use of AI such that privacy sensitive data can be detected and give a warning if this happens, and that can maybe integrate into a system. So that's more where AI could come into place. Yeah.
That is amazing because I think it basically helps shape like improvements for the entire infrastructure technology and just seeing how
Hmm.
people use it in any areas to improve upon. I think that's awesome.
Hmm.
This is the first time I'm
Yeah.
hearing about it, anyways. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
that is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know also how many people are really, maybe you probably know better, how many people are using those decentralized web nodes. That's not something I could see. I could check the like how often the centralized web node endpoint is used. Um, but right, if people for some reason change their endpoint or change their cloud provider or something, then there might be a reason for changing the endpoint. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something we could analyze. Yeah.
Wow, my mind is blown thinking about all the opportunities. Oh, this is good. I really hope to see like this space grow with like the data on the data analytics side because there's a
Yeah.
lot that you could do from what
Yeah.
you said. Wow. I want to quickly highlight just people in the
Hmm.
chat. I love to like make sure that I'm talking with them.
Hmm.
So we have Marianne that said another Dutchie.
Yay.
And then Laura said hi, and she also like commented on your career path, which is awesome.
Hmm.
Gerald is saying like this agreed. This is a different paradigm, one where our secrets are not also our identifiers. Love that.
Hmm.
And Greg Kramer says, nice to see this topic becoming more mainstream. And I think when you were talking about like the different ways that you analyze DIDs and the opportunities that people can
Yeah.
have to like analyze DW ends, that's when
Hmm.
Angie said that's interesting. Um,
Yeah.
Now I want to know a little bit before you like demo the project. I'm kind of
Hmm.
just curious about like how you would describe the project. What is it, and like
Hmm.
what technologies did you use to
Yeah.
build it and all that?
Yeah. So I would say DeniCheck, we have two different products, and they work a bit like together. So the first thing we have is this platform in which you can create, update, and deactivate a decentralized identifier, and it's a SaaS platform. And because we have that, we also have another, I would say, feature on that, and that's a version tracker version service, and that tracks all of the decentralized identifiers from all over the world, and we store it in our database. And with that, we created another platform, which is stats.godaddy.com. Everyone can check it out, but I will demo it later. And why we did that was because, well, we have all that data hanging around. Like we have the global decentralized identifier data. We're not going to show a subset. This is all the data. It's publicly available, but we have it. And therefore, we came to the idea of creating graphs. And I mean, I'm a data scientist, so I love graphs. So this is how I thought, okay, we can create graphs and we can present it at conferences, but how can we make it even more interactive or maybe more useful to people out there all over the world? So this is how we designed a dashboard out of it. So techniques that are used is, well, basically the decentralized identifiers that are on ledgers and so public ledgers and blockchains. Mostly decentralized identifier technologies. Yeah, I can deep dive into all the programming language that are used, but that's maybe not so.
That sounds great. Let's see a demo. I'm gonna add it to the stage. I'm super excited. I mean, I don't know if you were ready.
I'm ready. I hope this is I hope this is big enough, large enough.
Yes.
I can do it like this.
Yeah.
So, right.